Hello and welcome to What Have We Learned? Incidental learnings from interesting people. I'm Ben Punter. I'm here at the Edinburgh Fringe 2019. Rather muggy and slightly soggy 2019 Edinburgh Fringe. And as you can hear from my voice, also I'm slightly croaky at the moment and slightly soaky from all the rain and all the humidity that we have here at the moment. On this episode, we have a comedian, Adele, who's a very funny stand-up, who's performing here at the Fringe with her show Undershare, which you can see at Just the Tonic at the Tron, which is the pub on Southbridge, just opposite Monkey Barrel. And it's at 3:40 every day until the 25th of August. And that excludes the 12th of August, though. Coming up, we will talk about the Fringe, stand-up, and the whole writing process of the show. And about 20 minutes in, we take a little detour and we talk about cats and dogs, but it's still worth listening to as well. Follow her on Twitter at Adele. This was recorded in a slightly noisy bar. It was recorded at the Tron itself. But this is What Have We Learnt with Adele. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm quite tired. Everything's uphill here, and I'm not that fit, so I'm quite tired.
No, it's a very famous Lee Evans gag. I don't remember of.
About it being like an Escher painting.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Is that or is that Marcus Brigstock? I can't remember.
Well, it's that one, and also it's like if you're going anywhere in Edinburgh, you go up a hill. But if you're coming back, you still go uphill.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's your Fringe going?
I had a lovely audience today, so that was very nice. I've been very lucky. I've been sold out for the last 4 days, so it's very, very nice of people to come to see my show. Yeah, it's all right.
And what's so special about an Edinburgh audience?
There's so many different Edinburgh audiences, like different days and different sort of demographics and stuff, but in general, an Edinburgh audience have mostly turned up because they just really love comedy and they really they know what Edinburgh is, they know it's a comedy festival and they're seeing lots of comedy and they want to try out lots of different things, and that's nice to sort of try and it's a hub of comedy fans, and it's basically you can scoop up some if they like you, and that's nice.
And what do you take away from this type of crowd here compared to the Leicester Comedy Festival?
Well, Leicester's also lovely actually as well, I'd say, but this one, the thing with Edinburgh, because it's the whole month and because you're performing every day, you do leave feeling a lot slicker at your job, which is nice. And you get to have a play. If you're doing other festivals and you've got 1 or 2 shows, you're more focused on making sure the show's how you want it and sort of perfect. But here you're doing it every day, so you know the show really well, and you can play around and chat to the audience if you've got bits.
And there's always invitations to do other things while you're here. You never plan for either.
Well, I do a bunch of other shows here, and so I do some improv shows, I do some nerdy stuff like Questing Time and Battle of the Superheroes, things like that, and the one-liner show, and there's just lots of nice little things where they pitch their shows really well so that people going know exactly what they're going to get, and it's fun to do shows like that because people are well up for what the show is.
My dad has fallen into that trap. He's my dad's here as well.
Oh,
at the Fringe.
Does he want to buy a ticket for my show?
I'll let him know.
Okay.
I'll let him know.
If he plays his card right, he can have a free one. Also, it is pay what you want, so that's how it works.
He's kind of gone a bit. I'll book half the stuff, and then I'll not book the rest, and I'll just wing the rest.
That's quite a nice way to be, I think.
But he booked a show called, I think it's one of the board game shows.
Board Game Smackdown?
Possibly.
No?
I think it's the one which has got about rolling dice.
Oh, I think that's a different one.
And he was sort of it's not what I expected. I didn't understand any of it. There was no Monopoly, there was no Cluedo. I'm it's not that kind of board games, Dad.
No. But I like the fun thing about doing other people's shows here is I tend to try and pick ones with sort of a theme or something fun about them that makes them different from all the other shows, which is really nice, because then when people come based off the back of that, the nice thing especially is that often they've not actually seen a lot of your material or a lot of your show. If you go on stage and pretend to play Dungeons and Dragons for an hour, they don't see any of your show, but they just decide they find you funny, which is a lovely way to be.
And it's sort of it's sort of branches of comedy. I like that person, I want to find out what else they're doing here.
Yeah, and that's nice as well, because I think the thing is, if they see you at something and they decide that they sort of like the vibe you give off, they like you generally, then they're more up for giving your show a chance. If they come in cold, they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
So your show's called Undershare?
It is, yes.
Tell us about it.
Oh, I can't. That's the whole show. No, I'm kidding. It's just about sharing and different ways people share. It's about, my boyfriend told me I was bad at sharing, and I try and break it down whether I am bad at sharing, reasons why I might be, and the logic to all of those things. And there's also other fun stuff, talk about lines for a bit, things like that.
Yep. Where the origins of the show begin, as in like historically, where did it start? So when you started your work on a show like this?
Well, I start with, as with most people, I started thinking about it the minute I left Edinburgh last year.
Yeah.
So it kind of, I sort of was thinking about bits I'd like to talk about and different things, and they kind of started fitting into a theme.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point quite early on where you have to name your show, and then not that you're guided by that necessarily, but I thought, well, actually, this sharing seems to be a theme. I'll pop that in there, and then I started, working with my director, and we were kind of going, this is a good theme. This works well with what the material I had. So, so kind of like that, and then I just sort of write lots of stuff, scrap things, write more things, scrap lots of things, and keep writing things until eventually I'm satisfied with the things that are left.
Yeah, and how much stuff do you have to cull? How much stuff is culled from the final show?
It's tricky to know because it depends on what stage you cull it at. So things that I've fully written and fully realised the thing and then culled it. Some bits, probably sort of like 4 or 5 different bits that I've wrote to completion and then just decided it didn't work. But there's loads of other bits where you sort of start with an idea and you think, will this be funny? And then quite early on you decide it's not, so you don't, you've just tried a few bits and you've not properly written it.
Yeah.
So probably quite a lot there, but it's difficult to quantify how much that is.
Yeah, and does the show change that much when you're here? Like when you got from the first, because it's what's the day today? It's the
5th, 4th, 6th.
Wow, 6th, yeah.
Oh, I don't know what's happening. I just want to sleep.
So it's
Only the 6th. Good God, no.
Even I was going to say, it's the 12th. Like,
it's the 15th. We're nearly done.
Wow. Good Lord. Yeah, so 6 days into Edinburgh Fringe.
So I've done 6 shows now. It changes a little bit. What changes more is that I get a bit more playful with it, and and I'm chatting to people generally at different points, but also when you know the show really well and when you know which bits hit and which bits don't, and also which bits hit with crowds that are laughing at specific things, you can kind of early in the show tweak later on in the show.
Yeah.
And also, if something funny comes up one day, I'll sort of see if I can weave something into the show to make something like that work again. So it changes a bit, but I'd say the bare bones of it stay pretty similar.
Yeah. And this is your second year here as a solo.
Yeah, it's my second hour. It's my 5th time I've come to the Fringe to perform. But yeah. So
and you did the show last year with Sheep.
It was, yes.
New venue.
Yes, well, same company. It's still just the Tonic, but just different room.
So how does that show compare to this show in terms of like audience size, the whole thing?
I was very lucky last year that I sold out. So I was in a room that could hold 60 people last year, and it was a sellout. Constitutes basically being full every day, but there was like one day where I had 5 people off. But I was very lucky there that was full. And here my room holds 75, and we've done 6 days, and it's been, I think, slightly over capacity 4 of those days, and then the first day it was sort of 3/4 full.
Yep.
Second day was nearly full. I don't know. I've stopped asking how many people there are. I just kind of go by how hard it is for me to get to the stage from the sound desk.
Yeah.
And so far, quite hard, because the Tron's such a good venue for comedy, but it's got like everyone's sitting on stools, so obviously everyone moves them around. Then there's tables that everyone moves around, so all the seats are just wherever people want to be, which means they all sort of shuffle forwards and shuffle together. Which is great. But then also you announce yourself to the stage and go, "Fuck, I'm going to kick 20 people getting to the stage today. Please." So I've been having to go, "Could you clap until I'm on the stage? It will take a while." Just sort of shuffling through, saying sorry 50 times. But yeah, I've been so far I've had quite good audience numbers, but tomorrow is the first Wednesday of the Fringe, which will be lower, I'd imagine, because there's just fewer people around. It's not 2 for 1, and
I see.
But that's fine. I'm lucky. I've still got some pre-sales as well, so I'm very pleased with that.
And the venue they're in as well, that sort of small stool chair stuff, it's very New York comedy style. I
think so, yeah, and I like it as well. I think when people are sat in
rows
of stiff tiered seating type thing, it definitely can work well, and the right show can work in any venue, and I would hope that my show could do well in a venue like that as well. But I love the kind of, we've all pulled up our chairs to listen to you vibe it has, and, and that way that means people sort of, groups aren't split up between rows, and everyone's it's very lovely and communal, and it's quite New Yorky, I think. So Yeah, that's fun.
So Luke, writing the show, it's the worst question I think any interviewer can ask anyone in any creative form is, where do you get your ideas from? I'm not going to ask that, don't worry, I'm not going to ask the question.
Because I don't know.
No one does. The answer is their brain. That's the universal answer. But there's a version of that question, which I think I've updated it to go, this is what you should say. Is there a time and place or mood or moment where you think, this is where I tend to do my best work, like morning, after the gig?
It really varies for me. So I write well after a gig, and also in the middle of the night, even when I haven't had a gig, because I'm a real night owl kind of person. I'm always awake at 3 a.m. for no good reason. So I do write quite well then. I don't really write well in the morning. I can make myself write in the morning, but I'm honestly a lot quicker when I've been up for a few hours and done some stuff. I also quite like, when I'm writing stuff first time round, I write stuff basically on my own and sort of take it to people, but I do love chatting to people about the ideas, and it's not even necessarily having them, it's more just sort of trying to talk through your idea to a person and communicate what's funny about it. It's really helpful to actually make you go back to what you've written and go, no, this is the funny line, it's not the bit that you've written at the moment.
It's something very old thing like, oh, hey, what's that word for ... And as soon as you say that, the word comes to you.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's often a thing as well, because I do quite a few one-liners or one-liner-esque bits, and so often a lot of the writing is just me being like, I need a funnier word for X. And yeah, that's quite fun to try that with other people, or to just go through loads of options and see what happens.
So this is my third year at the Fringe, and it's the first time doing something like this. Well, first time doing something like this as a, I just came in, right, I'm doing a thing, because that's the vibe of the whole place.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm fascinated by the sort of how a show works, because I'll hear words, I think that's a funny word, like dip.
Yeah.
Dip's a very funny word.
Dip's a great word, funny word. Yeah. I don't think I have dip in my show. I'll write it in now.
That's the thing you're saying, like when you have like an egg, it's like you have the right combination of words and with the right last word,
there's a few bits, I think in most shows there's a few bits where just based on who the performer is and and how they come across and stuff, some certain things said by them are sort of funny, not for what they are, but just for coming from them and that element, and that's kind of like, particular words are just quite funny and stuff like that. So that's a fun thing to work with in previews, and to figure out what word is a funny word for me to say in this situation, not necessarily for someone else. It's got to be about what you, as whoever you are on stage, would do there, and why that would be funny.
And I can't get in the punchline out as few words as possible.
Yeah, not necessarily as few, but like efficiently, certainly. But the main thing I think with writing that's so important is, if you're writing, especially if it's overtly a punchline to a joke, not just like an observation or a laugh that's happening there, you cannot verbally repeat yourself from any of the setup.
Yeah.
So not even not the same words, obviously, that really trips you up. But if things are in the same sort of group of words, or if people think of them at the same time. Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example and I'm struggling, but one example, if you're talking about animals, for example, and you need to be specific in the punchline about an animal. Yeah. Because I think animals and then saying creatures in the punchline, unless it really needs to be the words animals, people still associate. Yeah. And you want to, the whole thing with punchlines is you want to give them no clue what the punchline's going to be until the punchline happens. And when you verbally repeat yourself, they have a clue. Right. So.
Yeah. Do you ever consider yourself as a one-liner comic?
Yeah, I do a lot of one-liners. So my show this year and last year, they both had a theme and they had a through plot, but there's a lot of one-liner jokes that you can pull out of there. And I do a lot of gigs with just one-liners because I just enjoy them. They're quite fun. Yeah.
And because the two of your jokes from sort of the last 2 years have been in sort of Dave's top 10?
Yeah, actually 3, which is an arrogant correction to make. But what a prick I am. What an absolute prick. The podcast ends ending now. She's an arsehole. Don't speak to her. But yeah, I've been very lucky to be on the Dave list, which is very nice.
Also, but it also shows me up for not doing my research properly.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to say, but get your act together. We're talking in a discotheque.
But there must be a nice bit of exposure as well.
Yeah, it's so lovely because the joke thing with the joke list is, and the way I see it, and I think other one-liner comics see it, is it's not even necessarily what joke gets on there. Obviously, it's nice if they pick a joke you really love. Sometimes they pick one of the jokes that you think isn't your best, but you're still pleased it's on there. But really, it's just a lovely recognition of consistently good joke writing.
Yep.
Because nearly everyone, I would say everyone who makes it onto those lists are consistently good joke writers, and it's nice that they get some recognition for that, which is super lovely.
Is there any kind of pressure from that?
A little bit, not initially, but now I've been on it a few times, and now everyone's like, you'll be on it again, and I'm like, well, I hope so, but I do not know that.
Okay.
And it's nice as well because obviously it gets very good PR, the Dave list, so it's in all the papers and things like that, which means my parents get emails from their friends being like, we saw Adele's name in the paper, which they love. So it's really big for them.
So growing up, who you got your comedy heroes and idols?
So many, and like so many different. It's difficult because I should say people who are similar to me, but honestly it was just all comedy I loved. I think I liked funny stuff before, but I kind of really got into it when I was maybe 13 or 14. And
like, what was the thing that...
The Mighty Boosh was probably not necessarily the only thing I liked at that time, but it was the first one that really captured me and like made me want to see every episode and know every joke and learn all the crimps and tell everyone, you know, having jokes about it like that, which I loved. But I quite like sitcoms in general, like different types. Like I love Miranda. I think I love, because I love asides like that. I do a lot of jokey jokes, like where you kind of, what you're saying, the audience is there. I love, stuff like that. A lot of stand-up as well. I tried to go and see quite a lot of stand-up when I was first getting into it, like I was 18 or something like that. I took my sisters to see lots of stand-ups, and they're both younger than me. So I took my youngest sister's like 6.5 years younger than me, so she was about 12 when I started taking her to comedy gigs, and some of them were not appropriate.
No.
I'm surprised we got in because I was quite a young-looking 18-year-old as well, with a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old. It's a miracle that they let us in the venues, but they did.
So who in your family makes you laugh?
Both my sisters make me laugh. My youngest sister especially, but they're both very funny for different reasons. So my middle sister, Vivian, she's very funny, mostly because she's super easy to wind up. Yep. And that is hilarious to both me and my younger sister, Lucy. So we properly enjoy that. But she's pretty funny as well. My younger sister's super funny. My dad's all about dad jokes. Every time, we watched, you're watching the Olympics, and every time they do any particular sporting thing, they'll be like, oh, they're nearly as good as me, and then we all laugh. Yeah. It's great. We used to watch World's Strongest Man on Channel 5, and they'd be like, they're nearly as strong as me. Classic dad jokes. Dad jokes. But my whole family are quite funny, I think. My mum's great as well. She's super funny. My mum used to let me watch Sex and the City when I was 10 years old, so she's super chill. I love her.
But then you're taking your sisters to comedy gigs when they're 12 as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, my parents in general are very cool. They would like me to tell people they're cool. They're cool people.
Just continuing that sort of the brand.
Yeah, the brand is, we trust you to make your own decisions. Go for it.
Do what you want, it's fine. It's cool. Yeah. So you did student radio as well?
I did. Loads of student radio. Somewhere in the ether, God knows where, there's a lot of me talking to myself. Because most of the shows were me alone, and I would just do sketches alone or read fake news articles. Yep. And I used to make up audio people. So we had a system where people could text the show or email the show, and you used to get a few messages, but it's student radio, there's nobody really listening. Yep. So I used to just make up people who'd sent messages and make up what they'd say, and sometimes they would email every show and were big fans, and they were almost entirely made up. Yeah. But at one stage I had like 4 shows a week, so that's a lot of time to fill.
How long were they?
An hour each normally. I think I had one that was 2 hours.
Okay. What sort of music was playing on that? Yeah.
Honestly, I'm so bad as a radio presenter because I'm not that into music. Like, I like music, certainly, but I don't know anything about it. And my favourite kind of music, honestly, at the moment, my playlists on Spotify are just everything Pink has ever sung, because she's amazing. Yeah. And then also I really like country music because I was really big into Nashville, the TV series. And I liked it anyway before that, but then I watched that and I was like, every country song is the best. I just love them singing about trucks and stuff like that, and I don't know why, because it's not really my vibe generally, but trucks and guns, and I'm like, sure. Yeah. It's a catchy beat.
And with Pink, one of the things I've noticed with Pink is that I don't know what it is about the songs she's been doing more recently. Like they're letting her sing more, it seems like.
Yeah, there's a Pink song for every occasion. She's got such incredible lyrics. She's so expressive, and she's such a great performer as well. You watch videos of her live, and it's insane. So yeah, she's brilliant. But especially when I did the radio shows, I just used to play. You have lists in most radio stations of like you have to play a certain number of songs from each list within each hour.
Yeah.
So I used to do that, and then I used to end every radio show I did by playing the Power Rangers theme tune.
Right.
Not because I'm particularly into Power Rangers. I mean, they're great, obviously, but mostly because there weren't that many. Basically, every week they did a top 40 chart, and if I ended all of my 4 songs with the Power Rangers theme, it always got into the top 40.
Oh, so airplay, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
4 plays was enough to make about 36 on the chart, and then they had to play it during the chart show, and that really made me laugh.
Okay.
It's probably the reason they never gave me a better spot, is because I kept trolling them by playing the Power Rangers theme music.
Let's talk about the Fringe itself.
Yeah.
So for new people who are thinking, I want to go to the Fringe and do a thing, what do they need to know that they probably, that isn't in any book, isn't in any sort of guidebook anywhere?
They need to be realistic about what venue they want and where it is and what they'll actually be able to get in terms of audience and footfall and things like that. Because there's, it's not necessarily hard to get given a venue, but it is hard to get given a good venue that's suitable for you, because there's so many shows and some spots are just not good for most people, so people end up with them, but it's not the best thing. So if they're able to visit the Fringe beforehand, it's good to have a look at some venues and realistically think about what you want. Like I did when I did a 40-minute show. So I've done 2-hour-long shows. I did a 40-minute show the year before that. The year before that, I did a split bill with my friend, and then several years before that, I did a sketch show with some friends from university.
Yeah.
We ended up basically in the venue that would take us, and it cost us a lot of money, and we didn't get that many people in. Like we had some nice audiences, but they were mostly sort of 12 people. Yeah. Which in a venue that could hold 50 is fine, but not really what you want. And also we were quite early in the day, so I really made a big point when I was doing every show following that to think about where it is and what time it is and stuff. And so I've been quite lucky with that, as in the split bill I did, we were at the Three Sisters, which has incredible footfall. We were on quite late, so we got a lot of drunk people, but we filled the room, and then we just learned to deal with drunk people. And when I did a 40, I was like, there's not, I know how big I am and it's not big, so I was in a room that could hold 20, and that meant I could fill it every day. And it's a nice vibe to be able to fill your room. And it also, arrogantly, it does make you look cool if you're having to turn people away on a weekend or something. So I think being realistic about the capacity of your room, also about your budget, because nobody makes money at the Fringe, regardless of how big your room is. I mean, I'm lucky with last year that I sold out, but even so, once you've accounted for every bit of money you've spent, you haven't made money, you've just mitigated some of your losses. So don't, as a first Fringe, go into one of the paid venues nobody's heard of and at 11 a.m. or something, because you'll struggle and you won't get people in. It'll be demoralising. So it's better to try and, if you know people who've done the Fringe before or people who are further into their careers, ask them if they could honestly explain to you what venue they think you would have fun in. Because, like I have some friends who are doing 40-minute shows this year, and I recommended like the City Cafe is a lovely one where it's got quite small rooms, they can hold 25-ish people, but I think it's so much more enjoyable to feel like you've got not packed, but like a room that's got a good number of people in.
Good vibe as well.
I would rather play like the back seat of a people carrier to 5 people in there than 20 people in a 60-seater room, because it's just about being able to connect to the audience and learn from that. And if you're in a cavernous space without people, that's tricky. And what else would I say? You walk so far in Edinburgh, really far. Wear shoes that are comfortable. Also, the tricky thing I find, and it depends on what you want to wear on stage, is that you've got to try and be wearing something when you leave the house that is suitable for the 50 kinds of weather, but also that you can basically wear on stage. Like you can bring a change of clothes if you want, but that's a lot of space in your bag. You've got to carry flyers, you've got to carry other stuff. So think about that.
Even for me, packing for Edinburgh this year, it was like, it's going to rain, it's going to rain, it's going to rain.
I feel like the first time I haven't nailed it, but it's the closest I've come to nailing packing for Edinburgh was this year. And I was packing with my housemate Catherine, and she's another comic, and both of us, every time we went to put something in the suitcase, we were like, can you wear that on stage? Because we're on stage every day, like 4 or 5 times, so everything we wear has to be something we could perform in. So every time we went to put in something we can't wear on stage, we'd be like, explain yourself, why is that going in? You can't wear that on stage? Take that out your bag. Which does mean now, going through my drawers at the place I'm staying, I'm like, oh, actually this is easier to pick outfits and I'm not wearing weird stuff that I'm not comfortable in on stage, which is a nice feeling.
How much time are you going?
I'm fine until 20 minutes, although it's pretty important in 20 minutes I'm meeting a dog. who is a dog that I'm friends with in London, but she's in Edinburgh as well because her owner is producing a show and directing a show. So I'm taking her for a walk on the meadows. We're going to have a whale of a time. Me and Mabel. It's going to be great.
What kind of breed is Mabel?
Mabel is, I think she's a Bichon Frise or something. She's white and like sort of she's very beautiful. I'm very bad at dog breeds. I'm a cat person really, but some dogs are excellent and Mabel's one of them. She's a great dog.
This was going to be like a tangent. I was asking about the timing of things, and then we're going to doggo chat.
No, and just back on. It's just, let me tell you, I'm going to meet an animal. I'm going to the cat cafe soon.
Yeah.
Because every year.
Shoreditch, is that one?
Pardon?
Is that Shoreditch?
Oh no, there's one up here as well.
Oh, okay.
There is one in London, but in London I cat sit for some people, so I frequently get to meet cats, whereas here I don't get to meet enough cats, so I go to the cat cafe.
No.
I still know a lot of the cats at the cat cafe here by name because I've seen them several times every summer for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, nice to see you, Elodie. How's it going?
Because we were just before I came here earlier today, we went up Arthur's Seat.
I haven't done that this year, but it's an important thing to do.
Yeah.
That is another thing I'd say to people who haven't been to a Fringe, doing it for the first time. Do stuff like that, and also go and see other shows. Because if you're just worrying about your own show, and if you're worried about your own show when you're newer, and the thing you have to come to terms with when you're newer coming up is actually, annoyingly, almost everyone here doesn't care about your show, and you've got to know that.
Yeah.
So it's nice when people come in and when they're engaged, they're a lovely audience, but coming up here, everyone thinks their show is the most important thing, and it is for them, but don't let it rule your whole Fringe. If your show's at 4 p.m, don't still be thinking about it at 9 p.m. Go and see a show, go for a walk, do something else, and then you'll enjoy it a lot more because your day won't be 1 hour of performing and 11 hours of worrying and then, I don't know, eating and sleeping in between those things.
Yeah.
So.
And you mentioned living with other comics as well.
Yeah.
Have you ever lived with non-comedians as well?
Not for a little while. So when I'm up in Edinburgh, I live with other comics. In London, I live with, I'm in a 4-person house. So it's me, 2 other comedians, and then one friend who's a muggle, but she's Australian, so she's pretty funny. Yeah. And then before that, I lived in a bigger house, but it was one of my friends who was there was in other comics, and so there was 3 of us who were comedians in that house. So I've never been entirely without comics apart from when I was at uni.
Yeah. What's the dynamic like living with other comics in that you can try and work on them?
Yeah, it's lovely because the other comics I've lived with have been my friends first and comedians second. So it's so lovely. Like the comics I live with now, we just really get on well. And we understand what it means to have a good gig or have a bad gig, and we share knowledge about if a particular things happening, and we are able to go through each other's shows and stuff like that. So it's just nice to have people understand what it means to be a working comic, because it's so weird. You've got such weird working hours. In the middle of the day you're in your pajamas at home writing, and then in the evening you're out working, and that doesn't, I think living with entirely non-comics, it would be quite confusing to them. So it's nice to, we all work together at the table and stuff in our house, and that's great because it motivates you to be better. And work hard. And
they're here as well?
They're both here, yeah. They are Catherine Bohart and Sarah Keyworth are the comics I live with, and they're both delightful, and their shows are amazing. So, yeah, it's very nice to live with them because they're lovely people as well. That's the annoying thing. They're super funny and really nice people, and you'd want them to be something wrong with them, but there isn't. They're great. I love them.
I saw Sarah Keyworth last year. She was doing like a compilation show. She's very, very good.
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah, they're both incredible comics. They're very, very good.
Apart from them two, is anyone you're excited to see this year at all? Have you got time?
So many people. I'm looking forward to seeing Beck Hill because her show sounds amazing and individual, and like it's a real theatre-y piece. I've got loads of people. I'm going to see Jason Byrne. He's just a very funny guy. He's so good with an audience. It's really nice to see because I like interacting with the audience, but seeing someone who is on top of every single thing that happens in a room is amazing.
Yep.
I'm going to see Matt Richardson because he's a friend and he's super funny and I like him. And then I've got a few friends who are doing first shows and stuff. So I've already seen Sarah's show, Catherine's show. They're both great. My friend Rachel Krieger's doing a show, which is amazing as well. Aaron Simmons, who I'm friends with, he's doing his debut. And I previewed with him, so I have kind of seen the show, but I'll go and see it again because he's a funny guy. Yeah, there's loads of people who it's annoyingly... The annoying thing is, I'm trying this year, and I tried last year as well, but I'm trying even more this year to make sure I make time to see a combination of shows from friends and also shows I want to see.
Yeah.
And you still have absolutely no time to do all of that. I'm here the whole month, and I'm going to see a third of the shows I want to see, I think.
Yeah. So after Edinburgh 2019, what will be next?
So next, I've got I've got a few ideas I'm trying to develop. I have a podcast idea, but I don't have a microphone. That's the main thing stopping me from doing my podcast. So I'm thinking about trying to work on that. I've got some ideas for a potential, I have an idea for what could be a radio-y drama or could be a podcasty drama-y thing, which I'm quite excited about. And yeah, some of the stuff, I'm trying to write a short. My friend's a very good comedy director, so I'd like to work with him, so I'm trying to write a comedy short. And then I'm just sort of trying to book some other gigs, looking at different festivals that I've not been to and seeing whether they might be good to go to.
Adele Cliff, thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much.
So that was Adele Cliff, and you can see her show Undershare at Just the Tonic at the Tron every day until the 25th of August, excluding the 12th. It's on at 3:40 p.m. You can follow her on Twitter at Adele Cliff. So what have we learnt? Be realistic about Fringe venues and do visit before, see other shows and enjoy the festival even as a performer. Wednesday at the Fringe is usually quiet. Give audiences no clue to your punchline. Ben, do your research next time. There's a pink song for every occasion. Dip is a funny word, and we trust you to make your own decisions, but hey, just go for it. And remember, Edinburgh is all uphill, but you can leave feeling much slicker.